Good morning. Welcome to the fifth meeting of the Senate Standing Committee on Economic Development, Tourism, and Labor. Thank you all for coming here today. I would remind you all to please silence all your cell phones, and if you're interested in providing any testimony regarding the day's subject matter, please sign in at the door so that you can speak. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Senator Boswell.
Here.
Senator Clemens.
Here.
Senator Girdler.
Here.
Senator Howell. Senator Maiden.
Here.
Senator Nunn.
Here.
Senator Thomas. Senator Wilson.
Here.
Senator Wise. Vice Chair Funky Frommeyer.
Present.
Chair Wheeler.
Present. All right, we have a quorum. Let's see. So we are duly constituted to do business. The sole item on the agenda today is Senate Bill 197, an act relating to economic development and declaring an emergency. It's my bill. We do have a Senate committee sub, and I would entertain a motion on the sub.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, sub is adopted. I'm going to go assume the chair, and we'll let my esteemed co-chair.
Thank you, Chair Wheeler, and thank you. Are you having any guests at the table with you?
Yes.
Wonderful. If they could also take the chair, and as you arrive, please introduce yourself.
Secretary, you're welcome if you'd like, or it's up to you. Please, man, this is good bipartisan. All right,
So before we do the roll call.
all right. All right.
All right, Senator Wheeler, Chairman Wheeler, you may.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Philip Wheeler, 31st Senate District, Pike County.
Colby Kirk, President and CEO of One East Kentucky.
My name is Jeff Nolan. I'm the Secretary for the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development.
Madam Chair, thank you. It's an honor to appear before the committee today. What you see in Senate Bill 197, Senate Committee Substitute 1, is a bipartisan, focused attempt to rectify some of the economic disparities that we have seen regarding the investment or our investment incentives in Kentucky, to kind of spread out the economic development that we have seen over the past several years as a result of some policy changes in the General Assembly. As we know, we have seen record investment in the Commonwealth, but if you look at a map of where that investment occurs, it's generally occurring in certain areas, and there are some significant gaps and places that create challenges. I myself reside in one of those areas, Eastern Kentucky. If you look at the long-term prognosis, I live in Pike County, Kentucky. In 1980, it had close to 90,000 people. We currently have about 58,000 people, and based on some prognosticators from UK, we could have as few as 30,000 people in the largest county of Kentucky by 2050 if we do not do some changes to bring more jobs into rural Kentucky. Now, that's Eastern Kentucky, but we also see similar issues and challenges in Western Kentucky. In the Western Kentucky rural counties, we have had a very difficult time attracting jobs there as well. As many of you all know, many of you all are familiar with the Kentucky Business Investment Program, the KBI program that allows for wage credits in order to attract businesses into the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Those have been very successfully utilized by Secretary Nolan and his team to attract businesses into the Commonwealth of Kentucky, but again, we've not seen those on a widespread basis. What Senate Bill 197 attempts to do is to give the Economic Development Cabinet more tools to allow for more incentives in rural Kentucky by creating a four-tiered system. And within those tiers, and they're going to be fluctuating tiers, meaning if you land a good manufacturer within a certain area, you may move from a lower tier or a higher tier community where you have less or more incentives to a lesser tiered system. So the flexibility of the system, I believe, is what makes this bill special, because it allows the Economic Development Cabinet to take it county by county, region by region, and target those incentives in such a way that we have balanced economic growth throughout the Commonwealth. Working hand in hand with Secretary Nolan on this legislation is Colby Kirk from One East Kentucky. I see he's got some maps that really lay out what I'm talking about here today. I probably should have had those copied for you here, but I'll be glad to provide those at the end. But I'd like to turn it over to him. A lot of this is his baby, based on some proven legislation that's been tried in other states, such as Tennessee and South Carolina. Tennessee, in fact, adopted a tiered system. It was so successful they went from 26 distressed counties down to, was it 3, Colby? Eight, I'm sorry. So we want to take these tried and proven methods to Kentucky and allow the Economic Development Cabinet to provide those incentives so that we can have that type of rural economic growth in Kentucky. So Colby, I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you. And it's good to see all of you all again. I was invited by Senator Wheeler to kind of come and present on this topic back in the interim session back in August. And I shared some data with you back then that stated the reality that we're facing in rural parts of this state. If you look at the investment that has been incentivized by our Economic Development Cabinet since the COVID pandemic, 95% of all incentivized jobs in this state have been west of I-75. So there's 16% of Kentuckians that live east of I-75, and we would like to see some tools that help us regain some of the population that we've lost. And so what we've presented to the senator is a framework that we believe will move us in that direction. And it benefits not only these pockets of southeastern Kentucky, but also other parts of far western Kentucky that haven't seen equal or comparative investment. And so the tiered structure is what's been really important to us. It would utilize the county population ranking that has been developed for the KPDI program that has been successful in steering investment to all parts of the state, but it would also take equal weight to a metric of unemployment in how these tiers are calculated. And as the senator alluded to, this system is dynamic. If we are successful in incentivizing job creation in places like, Letcher County or Martin County, their populations can rebound and their unemployment rates can decline. And they're not going to be Tier 4 communities forever. I have 9 counties I cover at One East Kentucky, and when I leave this job, I hope every one of them are a Tier 1 or a Tier 2 county. And so that's the heart of this model. And as this was introduced, the Economic Development Cabinet has kind of come alongside of us to make this a little more comprehensive and downright more aggressive. So the changes that have been added in this substitute restore the original value of the KBI program across the Commonwealth so that the wage assessment is returned back to 5%. So that means that when we're having conversations with companies and quoting a value of incentives to them, they're getting the same package that they would have before we started lowering the income tax rate. But it adds an extra carrot as you go down those tiers so that we can maybe encourage the company that doesn't need direct interstate access to consider communities that are a little farther away from that and have seen some more economic challenges. So I'm very happy with the product that's been produced here and commend the Economic Development Cabinet for their involvement.
Secretary Noel, would you like to?
Well, first of all, to Colby and to Senator Wheeler, everything good begins with leadership, and they have provided outstanding leadership. And that leadership of this body is critically important to make sure we're moving in the right direction for the state of Kentucky. We fully support this bill, and I would suggest that the frustration I had this weekend, I was told by my boss to fix a toilet, and I took my toolkit in, and somehow or another, I won't blame her, but somehow or another, about half of my tools were gone, which made it a very frustrating process. And I say that to kind of describe the art of economic development. If your toolbox doesn't have all the tools in it, you can't really fix anything. And what I like about the expanded version of the bill, based upon a great foundation that Colby and Senator Wheeler provided, is we're looking holistically at all the things you have to be successful. I mean, first of all, yes, we need to bring the KBI back to its level so that we can be competitive, because candidly, folks, it's being used against us. And we want to make sure that this pay-as-you-go program adds the benefits we have to bring the jobs in that are needed. But if you don't have great products, you're not going to be successful. And I've done a little development in my life, and it costs more to develop something in eastern Kentucky, and the land itself is more expensive, and the cost to build up is more expensive. Also can tell you in rural parts of western Kentucky and even in central Kentucky that's defined as rural. The appraised values of buildings and the things you do don't carry the value of the cost that goes into it. So we've got to make some changes in that area. That's why we are increasing for these, and we call them heritage communities, because I feel like when you say rural, there's a connotation that there's a rural area. If you say eastern Kentucky, there's that connotation. We are one Kentucky, and we've got communities that made Kentucky great. And in those communities are 2 and 3 generations, 4 generations of families. We need to help them. So that's why in KBI, instead of a $2 million benefit, these rural areas in eastern Kentucky, heritage communities, get $2.5 million, because we're recognizing those cost differences. We're also recognizing that if we get a project or a prospect or we're working with a company, training is essential to help individuals lift up their skill set and to be able to have those better opportunities. So we're increasing the availability of Bluegrass State Skills funding. We're not suggesting a larger budget. We're simply saying in these heritage communities there'd be additional funding for training. And fundamentally, I believe that if you help train an individual, you have created an asset with that individual that can never go away. So we think that is critically important. It's not funded, but back to another tool. We truly believe we've got to have capacity to engage in build-to-suit opportunities so we can attract those small to mid-sized companies in these heritage areas and take the worry out of, well, if I put this much money in a building and the appraised value is actually less than what I put in it, I've got to write it off on my books or I've got to worry about it. So Rural Revolving Loan Fund, we think, is critically important, and we hope perhaps there will be some way to fund that throughout the legislative process. Another area that we think is critically important, and just bear with me for a second, and I'll use Ashland as an example, Colby, if I might, because I got numbers in my little pea brain. Today, you may not know it, but there's 2,000 folks that live in the Ashland area that drive every day into 2 counties in West Virginia to work. Of course, by working in West Virginia, because we have reciprocity, they pay their income taxes in Kentucky. That's okay. So if we have a company that's looking to come into Ashland, as an example, and we offer our KBI program, which is tied to the wages of Kentuckians, here's what happens. They talk to existing companies, and this should be a good thing, not a negative. They say, if you put this over in Ashland, you're probably going to have, 60, 65% of the workers from Kentucky. Maybe 30, 35 are coming from West Virginia and Ohio. Well, now all of a sudden, our incentive package is discounted based upon what is typically going to be there. Why does it matter? If we can create jobs for folks in areas that are on the border, and we can get the next state or the adjacent state, their leadership to agree to participate with us, so that if we have a project in Kentucky, they'll put up the same kind of tools, so they offer incentives based on jobs in their state that work in Kentucky and vice versa. We think if you look at a lot of the areas in the heritage communities, they're right on a border. So why not create jobs? Because when you create a big manufacturer on either side of the river, you have suppliers that come in, you have all other kinds of things that occur. So we're recommending, let's really study this closely for all of Kentucky, but let's focus in on doing it specifically in these heritage communities coming out of this bill. So, Mr. Chairman and members of this committee, I went probably longer, but this is full of a toolkit that we think we have ever had in the past. And I believe very strongly that every community deserves the right to achieve the opportunities for success. Obviously, the governor in his budget proposed this rural loan fund and a concept of helping those communities have those benefits. As you all know, I'm not political. If there's anybody to describe non-political, I'm still not even sure which parties are which. All I'm going to tell you is this is about benefits for areas of Kentucky that deserve it. And that's what this bill does, is help those deserving communities. And I'm like Colby. With these tiered systems, we now have your commitment and your direction. Do more, be more aggressive, do what you got to do to help those rural areas in Kentucky, while at the same time not doing anything other than lifting up the tools that are needed for all of Kentucky at the same time. Thank you all.
Thank you, Secretary, and thank you, Chairman, as well, Colby. You've inspired some curious questions, and the first is mine. So relative to the opportunity Is it manufacturing only, or are there other sectors that we're inviting or welcoming in this legislation?
If I may, this is the chairperson.
I threw it out to all three of you.
All right.
Well, the only reason I jumped in, I apologize, Senator. Senator Fromeyer has made a lot of things clear to me over the time I've been here, and I really appreciate it. This bill does address the issue of KBI. The way it works, you get the credits on the wages, but it's applied to what are qualifying investments. And today in Kentucky, candidly, the majority of those qualifying investments are all manufacturing. If you're a R&D or if you're corporate headquarters, things like serial purchases of software, things like leasehold improvements, they're not eligible for reimbursement. And yet we want those kinds of jobs. We want those kinds of jobs in heritage communities. So, Senator Fromeyer, indeed, this language actually expands the eligibility for use of the KBI for research and development, headquarters, those kinds of types of jobs that we think Kentucky should be growing more of, and we think that's what Northern Kentucky, Lexington, Louisville, Owensboro, Paducah, Pikeville, every community we worked in have asked us, we just need better tools to attract more of those kinds of jobs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is for Senator Wheeler. Senator Wheeler, I apologize for being here a little bit late. The Education Committee ran a little long. But could you tell me more? I have not read your bill. I just couldn't get to it last night. So
And we're at that time of the session, my friend.
you're absolutely right about that. But tell me a little bit more about your heritage communities. How's that defined in the bill? What comprises a heritage community? Just explain that to me for my own knowledge.
Yes, you'll look for a heritage community is under Section 13 of the Act, and that's essentially, again, that goes back to these tiered economic incentives. I mean, find my place the way this was. Should have brought my copy. I printed upstairs. This one's kind of upside down.
The copying is a
little odd here.
Yeah,
so, okay, yeah, Colby, if you want to jump in, he's probably got it. Sure. He's got his markup copy.
I know it by heart.
What page is it on?
I don't know that, but I know the definition for a heritage community is defined as those counties that would be classified as Tier 3 or Tier 4 in the tiering system. And the way those tiers are derived are by taking a 50% weight to 5-year average unemployment and the county population ranking as stated in the Product Development Initiative legislation. So you create a composite score. You rank every county from 1 to 120. The first 20 are Tier 1. The second 20 are Tier 2. The next 40 are Tier 3. And the following 40 are Tier 4.
Yeah. Senator Thomas, that's on page 61 and 62, describes the tiers. And then I think Heritage County is actually defined on page 40, I think it was page 46, and then it refers to the tiers on page 61.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Wheeler.
And Senator, if I just may add in.
Yes, Secretary Noel.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Oh, no problem.
There's a dynamic in this that we just want to make sure everybody understands. Data, you just can't lie. But what's great about the way this is proposed from Colby and Senator Wheeler is we will always be updating the data in a periodic basis so that we don't just create a label and they stay there. And unlike enhanced versus non-enhanced, where the data has become kind of skewed, this doesn't allow for everything to get rolled up into an enhanced. This actually maintains that spread based upon ongoing evaluations of population, economic activity, you name it. And I actually accept the challenge from Colby and Senator Wheeler that I think was said earlier. Let's get some of these Tier 4 and Tier 3 communities over a period of time down to Tier 1 and Tier 2. That's what I love about it. It actually uses data to inform how we go about using those tools in our toolkit.
Madam Chair, I generally don't do this, but may I ask one more question? Sure. Colby, is it possible that you could email to me the breakdown? I mean, I would like to know, who are the 20 Tier 1 counties in Kentucky? Who are the 2 Tier 2 who are the 20 Tier 2 counties in Kentucky? And
Colby, I appreciate that. In fact, that would be great to share with the entire committee. I know you did during the interim, but it's beneficial to see that with this meaningful legislation.
But if you could send that to all of us, I really would like to review that and understand that.
Yes, sir. I have a map that I've created based on the present data. It would be evaluated at a later date, usually more recent data in the future, but this is kind of how it would shake out in the existing data.
Well, just
We'll circulate that, Senator Thomas. I think that's a very, very good suggestion.
We'll
Thank you.
take the responsibility because the data's changed a little bit, not so much, but the methodology to kind of reflect the KBDI. We will work with staff to get copies and members of those counties to everyone today.
Wonderful. That very much appreciated. And Senator Maiden.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Secretary, no, I really appreciate you. I know you spent a couple hours in Senator Wheeler's office the other day, and I really appreciate that because this is a big problem in Eastern Kentucky. And I was most encouraged last Thursday at an event that the city of Louisville held here, and Representative Nemus stood up and talked about it was time to help Eastern Kentucky, that we had, provided energy and jobs and a lot of coal severance tax dollars that were spread across the state for many years that we didn't get to keep our own tax. We got a portion of it, but we didn't get to keep most of it. Most of it was spread out everywhere. So I was really encouraged that they're recognizing that, if one part of the state is not up and going with Louisville and Lexington and Bowling Green and Northern Kentucky, then naturally we're asking for more money for Medicaid and for other services that we have to pay for. But to talk a little bit about what Senator Wheeler talked about, the population decline, and that happened basically around 2014 when the war on coal was waged, because that was that was our industry, that was our jobs. And for many years our coal miners waited around because in my lifetime there's been many roller coasters up and down. The coal business good, coal business down, coal business good, coal business down. So I think most people have finally realized that the coal is on the downturn, but also by bringing Eastern Kentucky back, it's evident that you hear, and Mr. Hughes is sitting back there. Our people in Eastern Kentucky are screaming about our electric bills right now. So, and it's because our population has decreased. We don't have the big coal plants that are burnt and using the energy. We got fewer people using energy. So by building Eastern Kentucky up, not only will it help our people with jobs, but it'll help get people off Medicaid. It'll help possibly help lower their utilities because we'll put more people back on. It's just a domino effect that if we build that up, we don't have one part of the state that is lagging behind the others. And I want to make this point too. Colby, and sometimes we got people that testify or are up here working as lobbyists or whatever. Colby has a pretty extensive background. He's a former county judge, so he's seen it firsthand. He knows what it is. I don't have to tell you about Senator Wheeler. He gets it. He knows exactly the problems we face in Eastern Kentucky. He's a lawyer. He knows, he and I deal with the same issues. Our counties are joined, so it's just really important, and I'm very encouraged to see that you all were really acknowledging, and I was booming with pride down there the other night when Jason got up and said that about Eastern Kentucky, and I spoke on the floor last week on a bill, and we don't want handouts. We just want to hand up. We want an opportunity to work. Our people just want to work. They like to stay home. We live in Eastern Kentucky for a reason. Everybody can go live anywhere they want to go, but I think this is a good step forward, and I know the General Assembly and our leadership is on board trying to, wanting to bring it back. And, and 10, 12 years ago, when we had like the second lowest power rates in the United States. And when they waged the war on coal, that's when our rates went out of sight. We were burning 85 to 88% coal to generate our electricity. Now we're down to about 67%, and then we wonder why we're not, where our rates are going up. So we still have a lot of coal. Now, I don't think, that we need to just go back and try to rebuild everything on coal. I think we need to diversify, and I think there's some that has started, but I just can't tell you how, thrilled I am to see that, when Colby first brought this, and Tyler Burke's sitting back there, he's been a part of it, and he's in the gas industry, so he gets it too. So we've got people working on this that really get it, know what they're talking about, and with the, support from leadership, I think we can make some really good inroads if people will work with us. And I do appreciate it, Secretary.
Sure, go ahead.
Senator, thank you for those comments. And yeah, I tell people I'm a recovering county judge executive. I did a small stint in local government. But I've worked in economic development in Eastern Kentucky since 2017. And my day job at One East Kentucky isn't to influence policy, it's to be a practitioner of economic development. I go out and I meet with companies at trade shows and on the road, and I talk to them about the merits of doing business in the Commonwealth. And then I try to steer their focus to the 9 counties that I represent as an opportunity for workforce development and just as a great place to do business in Southeast Kentucky. I've worked a number of projects since 2017. Some of we've succeeded on with the tools we have, but some have come to us. We had a charcoal project that was looking impactful a couple years ago. It was a French company. They came and visited 3 times. They loved the community. They loved the opportunity there. But they told us it was going to cost $2 million more to build on this site in Southeast Kentucky because it used to be a coal mine than it might cost to build it in West Virginia or Pennsylvania in a site that didn't have mining activity. And so we lose projects sometimes because of that difference in cost of capital. And if I have a stronger carrot and incentive to offer a company that outweighs that change in benefit, if they like the community enough, if they like what we're selling them from a supplying and logistics standpoint, I know we're going to win some projects, and I feel really confident. This bill isn't a silver bullet. We're not going to win 1,000 jobs overnight with this, but it's going to give me some more tools that I can take to a company and say, hey, we've got a fair shot, to make you successful here now. So thank you for believing in that.
And I would just like to say, One East Kentucky, I think it's a great organization. It's actually funded by private businesses, major employers that are still in the region in those 9 counties. So these are people willing to put up their own money and put their own skin in the game to do this type of stuff, which I think is very important. And I want to also acknowledge, I know we have Representative Aaron Thompson. I think he was here. There he is, yeah. This has been a collaboration also with our House partners as well, and in Eastern Kentucky in particular. So they're fully supportive of this type of framework as well to work towards a product that we can, really all of us be proud of in Kentucky. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator. We have one other question, and I did want to acknowledge, I really appreciate you listening to a few of the adjustments that we needed in Northern Kentucky. And we did see that you worked closely to still include us to experience the opportunity for business development. And we know that we're an economic engine and we need fuel to keep that engine flowing. And we like to burn your coal too, by the way. So we are very appreciative. This is a comprehensive economic development package. We thank you. Senator Boswell.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Well, I want to ditto what Senator Maiden said. First of all, I think he covered it quite well. The knowledge that you 3 gentlemen have on this subject is unparalleled, really. And Secretary Noel, we especially thank you because you're so enthusiastic about creating jobs. We need to keep our people in rural areas. And so I do have just one question, though. So there was a mention maybe about broadening out this bill that would cover other types of jobs. It's primarily, I think, manufacturing. Is that kind of right?
Well, today the KBI is heavily skewed to capital investment based upon what's qualified.
Right.
What is not as fully baked into what is eligible into KBI are the kinds of things that today's modern offices, research and development facilities could be then eligible for the costs they incur to be a part of the reimbursement from the KBI program. So we're broadening those tools so that we can attract more headquarter opportunities for all across the state, research and development functions, financial functions, life science functions. It goes up and down the board that heretofore our tools are very, very focused on manufacturing, and they should be. We just didn't have enough broad array of the typical kinds of expenses these companies incur to be then eligible for the KBI, so that we are creating, I think, better tools for better diversification.
And so my question really is that, so in Eastern Kentucky, we've got so much going on with tourism. We've got such beautiful property up there. We got a lot of things going with tourism. If someone were to create a new tourist attraction, would that possibly be eligible under this bill?
We do have some tools that could be supported with a tourism project. Of course, the tourism cabinet has some tools and ways that can work.
Okay.
But tourism is one of our anchors in our strategy and our blueprint, as Colby knows. And yes, we like to look at ways that we can participate in these physical development initiatives that actually attract tourism. And I want to give credit to the legislature. The grant program that provides the local match, or for the majority of the local match, to go after federal funding, we administer that program and we appreciate it. A lot of tourism-based projects have gone after federal funds, and we've used the grant program to support those funds to be then in a position to make these projects a reality. So that's why I go back to the toolkit. It's all these things together that make a difference. And Senator, I want to make one comment. I know because Colby and Senator Wheeler here, we're focusing a little on Eastern Kentucky, but this is a bill for all of Kentucky. And I want to emphasize rural areas. You know, I believe very strongly that in rural areas, oftentimes on the farm, one or the other of the spouses works, I call them public jobs at a manufacturing facility or another company. They need those health care benefits to keep that family farm going. I really believe having these tools allows us to bring in more jobs into the rural areas that helps make it easier to hang on to the family farm. And there's another component that oftentimes I think we get focused on, the tax credit and what does that mean, and we don't take a step back to really talk about what was discussed earlier about the loss of population. You know, federal funding for schools, federal funding for highways, federal funding for law enforcement, there's a lot of things that come from the federal government that's tied to population. And so if you lose a family, as an example, because they've got to go somewhere else to find a job, those schools that rely on just the 2 or 3 kids generates funding that's now lost. And so I think the authors of the bill and all of us recognize this is intended to create jobs. But I think the real benefit is jobs help bring more people in, help keep people there. Population growth is a critical factor for all federal funding. It's also a critical factor in companies saying, then I can see my future workforce from that area. So that's why it goes back to a lot of tools, all in one box, all of us working together.
Thank you.
That's
I'll make a
right.
motion on the bill.
Yes, motion on Senate Bill 197 as amended by Senate Committee Substitute 1. Second. And we have a second with Senator Nunn. Sammy, please call the roll.
Senator Boswell. Senator Clemens. Senator Funky Frommeyer.
Aye.
Senator Girdler. Senator Howell. Senator Maiden.
Explain my vote. I'm definitely an aye on it. I just want to remind 5 of you sitting members on this committee, I have submitted the request form to A&R on the grants program he spoke of, so I appreciate your support on that. Thank you.
Senator Nunn. Senator Thomas. Senator Wilson. Senator Wise. Chair Wheeler.
Aye.
Senate Bill 197 as amended by Senate Committee Substitute 1 passes with favorable expression. That same shall pass. Is there a motion on the Senate Committee amendment, title amendment to Senate Bill 197? Senator Maiden, Senator Nunn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the Senate Committee amendment, title amendment is adopted. And with that, we are adjourned.